Hello! Hope you guys are all okay and all good. Welcome to another video. My name is George, for those of you who don't know. Feel free to subscribe down below if you're not already. And today, I am going to be talking to you about a book that I finished reading called Alex In Wonderland by Simon James Green. Alex In Wonderland by Simon James Green came out at some point in 2019 and is a YA novel about a boy called Alex, funnily enough. It is the summer after his GCSEs and he is trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life. His two best friends have just got into a relationship with one another, so he is sort of feeling a little bit out of the loop and out of sorts in that sense, and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do with himself while they're off smooching and spending all their time together because they're going on a holiday. His parents have recently divorced, or recently enough that it's still kind of like affecting him, and he is pressured by his stepmom Kendra into going out to try and find a job, and what he stumbles upon is Wonderland, which is this amusement arcade that is on the seafront. It's sort of ramshackle and rundown, no one really goes in there anymore, but he gets sucked into it, and it is there that he meets Effia and Ben, and sort of, as well as literally stumbling into a job at Wonderland, he also stumbles into friendships with them. What follows is a book of summery hijinks, funny situations, and a really, really sweet romance, which I really, really loved, actually. I read the majority of this today. I started this probably a couple of weeks ago now, and I kind of was reading it like on and off, like as I was traveling to places, and then I started reading in the evenings, and then today I just kind of sat down and like blitzed the last like 200 pages in basically one sitting, because it's just that good. It's really funny, it's really light, like it's not heavy on the issues, it's exactly what I'd expect from Simon James Green. He's the author of Noah Can't Even and Noah Could Never, which are two funny YA queer novels that are also published by Scholastic. I've not read them. I read Noah Can't Even when it was on submission when I worked in publishing, so like I had like a vibe for the kind of thing that Simon James Green does, but I've not read the finished one, and I probably should, because with this being so great, all signs point to me really, really enjoying it. I loved Alex a lot. What happens at the beginning is actually that he's sitting in a police station and he's being interviewed, and I sort of forgot that that was a plot point, because you kind of get sucked into this world, into Wonderland and everything that's going on there. So I sort of forgot that there was this whole plot point at the beginning that is set up that he is in this police station interview situation where he is being accused of something, we don't know what, and then it was only when it kind of came back to it at the end that I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing right at the start, which is probably more my fault for taking so long to read it rather than Simon James Green's fault. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. I loved Alex. He was very sweet. He reminded me a lot of what I remember of Noah, in that he's very sort of unsure of himself and very sort of kooky and weird and awkward and uncomfortable in himself, and the book is sort of him trying to find ways to come out of that. The friendships part of it was lovely. I thoroughly enjoyed meeting Effia and Ben. Their voices really popped on the page, which was really, really nice. I thought it was well paced. The romance in it, and I won't tell you who the romance is with, because it could be with many people, but like the romance that's in the book is so, so sweet and really lovely. And again, it just feels really real. I think maybe that's why I liked it so much, is that it just felt properly realistic, and that kind of weird in-between space that you get into between like the end of when you're at school and you're in that weird in-between space between the end of one year and the start of the next, especially at the end of something like GCSEs, where you're really like, I don't know, where you're really in a weird place because you are literally in between two big parts of your life. Does that make sense? Because in the UK, you finish your GCSEs at age 16, and then you start either your A-levels, your BTEC, or an apprenticeship come September. And sorry, my thing just went off. And so you start that the following September. So it is sort of, while you are still in education, it is still like a change, and it's a new thing that you're having to deal with. So it's sort of, this whole book is kind of set at a period of great change, not just for Alex, but also for the town of New Sands, which is where it's set. This fictional town, which feels very sort of Brighton-esque. So this fictional town of New Sands, which is having a lot of development work done. Oh my god, the other part of the thing about the book that actually transpires during the book. So Wonderland, this ramshackled old amusement arcade, is under threat. Because of all of this development that's happening and this gentrification of the area, which is very topical, it means that Wonderland is under threat, and there are some horrible notes coming through and things are going wrong and they feel like they're being sabotaged. So the book is the three of them, Ben, Effia and Alex, trying to figure out a way to save Wonderland, which is really sweet. It's just a really lovely book. Like, absolutely no complaints whatsoever. It was just really, really sweet. I really enjoyed it. I laughed a lot, and that's all I could really ask for from it. And I think I went into it expecting something summery and something sweet and something that I really enjoyed, and it fully delivered. So absolutely no complaints there. I'm trying to think of like other books that I could compare it to, but I can't really think of any off the top of my head, and I wonder if that just means that I'm like out of practice, or maybe he's just doing something that other people in the UK market aren't doing, which is that sort of that funny geek girl-esque YA kind of situation that's kind of awkward and funny but with a queer spin on it, which I think is really great and really, I don't know, I think it's different from other things that are being published, because a lot of it is American YA that comes through, because there's not a huge amount of own voices queer stuff that comes out in the UK market, which is just a fact, but it feels that is the sort of vibe that it gets, and I really, really enjoyed it for that. The fact that it, while I enjoy things like David Levithan and Patrick Ness and Sean David Hutchinson and Bill Koenigsberg, I really enjoy those books and I love them an awful lot. Like, I love them fiercely with my whole entire heart. What Alex in Wonderland gives and Simon James Green seems to give, and I need to read Noah Can't Even and Noah Could Never to make sure that I'm 100% right on this. What it delivers is that sort of funny, awkward, YA rom-com sort of feel, and is still really sincere. So like what those other books have is like a sincerity, but also there is humour in there, of course. Like in those other books that I'm talking about, there is humour in there. But what this seems to be is more like humour awkward first, and then the sincerity comes afterwards. Does that make any sort of sense? Or am I just like chatting a bunch of crap? Either way, I thoroughly enjoyed Alex in Wonderland. I thought it was really lovely. A perfect summer read, if there ever was one. And I know that summer is coming to an end now and the weather is getting a bit rubbish, but I mean, I'm sort of glad about it. I prefer autumn to summer. Summer just makes me feel sticky and horrible. But this was really great. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fantastic. As I said, well-paced, sweet romance, super, super funny. Really, really enjoyed it. It just made me feel really good and really warm and really sunny inside. And I feel like there is nothing wrong with a book like that. It's just really, really great. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It makes me want to read more of his. It makes me want to read Noah Can't Even and Noah Could Never, because they're two books that I've not read yet. And if they're anything like this, then I'm really going to enjoy them. And I don't know, this doesn't feel like much of a review. It just feels like I'm sitting here saying how wonderful this book is. And I feel like that's not a bad thing. I really, really enjoyed it. Oh, I know exactly what I can compare this to. Oh my god, it has just hit me in my head, and how have I not thought about this? Because I freaking edited these books. I'm ridiculous. Okay, so there are two books. One is called Boy Meets Hamster by Birdie Milano, which is about a boy called Dylan who goes to a caravan park called Starcross Sands, gets into much hijinks. It's really funny. It's really, really sweet. There's a coming out narrative in there. It's really, really lovely. It's very much about like being yourself and figuring out who you are and being confident in who you are. It's really, really great, and I love it an awful lot. Obviously I edited it, so I'm slightly biased, but I don't work at Pan Macmillan anymore, and so I feel like I can just actively tell you that it's freaking amazing and make you want to go and read it. So if you like Simon James Green, or if you like this book, you will fully love Boy Meets Hamster by Birdie Milano. There is a sequel coming out. This is book number 2. There's a sequel coming out in, I'm gonna say September. It could be October, but that is called Boy Meets Ghoul. It's still about Dylan kind of figuring out who he is and how he fits into the world, but now he's a little more out, and it's sort of navigating that. So it's a different kind of narrative, like a post coming out narrative in a weird way. But yeah, if you like Simon James Green and you like Alex in Wonderland, you will enjoy Boy Meets Hamster by Birdie Milano, which is an absolutely fabulous book and I love it. But yes, this is super duper lovely. I now want to read Noah Can't Even and Noah Could Never, because I think I would really, really enjoy them. But yeah, that is the end of this video. I would love to hear from you if you have read this, or if you've read Boy Meets Hamster. Obviously it works in reverse and you'd really enjoy Alex in Wonderland. It works in reverse. that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry that it was sort of short and rambly and me talking very fast, but that's all I have for you. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. So yeah, feel free to comment down below and let me know what you thought if you've read this, or if you've read Birdie Milano, or if you can think of any other like awkward queer YA books, because I can't think of any, and there must be some out there. Surely it's not just Simon James Green and Birdie Milano. Surely it isn't. Either in UK YA or US YA. Surely they can't be the only ones. Let me know in the comments box below. I love each and every one of your faces, and I'll speak to you as soon as I can. Bye!